Welcome to the Ultra Running Magazine podcast. I'm your host, Scotty Sando. On August 12th, Dean Karnazes, arguably one of ultra running's most accomplished runners, experienced a very rare event while running the Headlands 150-mile endurance run. He shared that experience on his Instagram page. Here, have a look.
I just had something rather terrifying happen. I'm out on a 150-mile trail run, and I got attacked by a coyote. That was a first. It knocked me over, and thankfully I'm running with poles, so I whacked it and it ran away. Oh, it's kind of brutal. Not sure what I'm going to do, but I guess I got to keep going, or else they'll probably come back for me. Ooh.
The response to that video has been rather unexpected, as numerous media outlets have questioned Dean's story. So what really happened that night and what lessons can we all learn from it? Dean joins us to answer those questions and let us know what's been taking place in this aftermath. Hey, and stick around after the interview for our What's the Issue segment with Ultra Running Magazine editor Amy Clark for an inside look at this month's issue, which includes a feature on mountain safety. You don't want to miss it. All right, my amigos, give it up for the adventurous Dean Karnazes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show, Dean Karnazes. Dean, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Scotty. It's good to be back on.
It's good to have you here, and you've been making headlines and not on purpose. I'd have to say lately. Can you tell me why we're here today? What's been going on?
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can tell me because I've heard so many versions myself. I'm not quite sure I can keep track, but yeah. I was out doing a 150-mile run, and I had an encounter with a wild animal, a coyote, and I shot a video of it, and I thought, okay, that's done. Well, I guess people like media police your social media feeds, at least mine they do. So they came across this video and they all of a sudden made a story of it without even talking to me about what actually happened. And then it just, from there, it was like drinking from a fire hose. As soon as you show some blood on a TV screen, I guess the sharks frenzy.
People kind of lose their minds. You're right about that. The sharks did frenzy. And so I guess, what we're talking about here is that, as you saw in the opening of this video, and if you aren't listening on the podcast, go back and you can find this podcast. You can go to Dean's Instagram account. You can see the video yourself. But Dean, can you tell us what happened exactly that evening and kind of maybe set it up? What time of day was it? What mile were you at? Because I think those things kind of do factor into a story like this.
Yeah, so I was running a race called the Headlands 150, and it's in the Marin Headlands. It was the first year they've done a 150-mile race, and I've done the 100-mile version before and the 50-mile version before, and it's essentially 4 loops in an area that is an area that I've run for 30 years. I know it, I could tell you every curve, every tree, everything. And the trail I was on, like I said, I've run on that trail for 30 years. So I was about at mile 35, and I was coming into the turnaround spot, which is a parking lot on the northwest side of the Golden Gate Bridge. And there was usually they set up an aid station there, but that wouldn't happen for 24 hours because there was only 6 of us doing the 150-mile version. So we would just go to the turnaround spot and head back. And I was heading down a groomed section of trail, maybe 100 feet from the turnaround, from this parking lot. And it's a wide, very highly groomed, very heavily trafficked section of trail. And it was 3 a.m. It was my second loop, so I'd already been at that point before. And I opened an energy bar that the race director had given us. There was like a food stash at another place called Tennessee Valley. Mm-hmm. So I opened it. I remember the crinkling of the wrapper opening, and I went around the final kind of switchback and started shuffling down this groomed section of trail. And I heard like quick footsteps coming up behind me. I mean, it happened very quickly. And I thought, at first I thought there's a dog, like there's a dog out here. And when I swung around, it was a coyote. And it was, I was holding a half-eaten bar in my hand, and it was just obviously going, I think it was very obvious it was going for the food, not me. And it startled the heck out of me. And I went flailing to the ground. Uh, you know, one, because there's an animal lurching at me, and two, I wanted to get out of the way. I slammed into the ground. The thing was kind of ended up in front of me, and I had my hiking poles, and I just swatted at it with my poles, and it was gone. I mean, it just kind of took a quick look and ran off into the bushes where it kind of came from. And I sat up, and I thought that was insane.
Uh-huh.
In 30 years of doing this, having run this trail so many times, uh, that was crazy. And so I shot a video, and and then got up, and I thought, okay, I can maybe keep running. And I tried to keep running, and maybe ran another 15 or 16 miles. And I was bleeding pretty bad, because and my face was pretty cut open. And people started using the trail, like hikers started using the trails, and they saw me, and they were kind of flipping out. I didn't know how bad it was, the extent of it. But I thought, okay, you're bleeding too much. Just run back to your car, and that'll be the end of it. And there's so many things that are coming back to me that happened right after it happened. Maybe, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes, another runner came. I passed another runner, and I had a conversation, a pretty good conversation with him, like, be careful, this is what just happened to me. And he said, okay. And then I passed one of the other runners, maybe 3 hours later, and
Mhm.
said the same thing to him. And that was it. Then I got in my car and drove home. And then I saw that a Canadian magazine had kind of looked at my Instagram feed and published a story. I never talked with them, and that was it.
Yeah, so before we get to what they published, I kind of want to get back to the event. Where did you hurt yourself? I know you on the video, you see it, there's blood on your face, on your mouth. Was that the place where you were injured, and what was the extent of that?
Yeah, no, I slammed into the DAC. Again, it was a very graded, maybe slightly downhill section. So hit my ribs, uh, cut open my face. It, that was that. It was, it happened so quickly, and I just, after it happened, I sat up and I touched my lip, and I thought, oh, you're bleeding. And yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's about how it happens anytime anyone takes a unexpected tumble. Not to mention when you have something as startling as that. So going back to the coyote, when it approached you, so it came up from behind you. When you turned around, what pace was it going at?
it was lurch. I mean, it was jumping for my food. So I
Oh,
don't know. I mean, I was like I said, I was shuffling along.
yeah,
It was a graded graded area. And just kind of chewing and holding this bar. And it must have been in the bushes, as they are, and saw this food. As I've learned, the area where it happened is notorious for people feeding coyotes. I didn't know that. I mean, the ranger later told me. The ranger contacted me, and I gave her a full report. And she said, yeah, it's really a problem where you were at. People are feeding coyotes. And I think this coyote was not like the other coyotes I see on the trails. I mean, like I said earlier in the day, I saw coyotes. I see coyotes all the time in the Marin Headlands. Mostly they're kind of scrawny looking, a little mangy, and they kind of skitter off. They don't necessarily run away. They kind of skitter off and kind of look at you. But I've never really felt threatened. I've seen in multiple coyotes on a hillside. They're not, as I understand, they're not pack animals. So even then, even though there's 3 or 4 of them looking at me, I never felt threatened by it. But I think that the combination of me opening this bar and being where I was, just the coyote went for the food, and it
yeah,
was it was freaky. I mean, it was so unexpected to me, because, like I said, over and over again, it's a trail I know so well, and I never thought something like that would happen.
Yeah, it's hard to distill what happens in an event like that when it's unexpected. It happens in a blink of eye, then you're expected to go back and kind of relive that. But I'm going to ask you to, which
Relive it,
is
and
right.
yeah,
I'm
a heavy
sorry,
permutation of it. Yeah,
but
God.
I mean, it's a canine, and we all, I think, have experience when a canine is fierce, when it's angry, when it's going to attack you, when it's not safe. When you turn around, what was your initial instinct when you saw it lunging at you? I mean, come on, this happened so fast.
Yeah, no, I was like, okay, there's a coyote it lunging at me. It wasn't a dog, and it hit me, and that was it. And it just, I fell down. It kind of bounced off, and like I said, I hit it with my pole. It was right in front of me, and it scurried right off. And uh, I've been attacked by dogs before. I mean, if you're a runner and you've run around the world like I have, I've been attacked by dogs before, and it's kind of the same thing. It happens pretty quickly, and it's
Yeah.
terrifying. But it happens and it's done. Like in the moment, you're just in the moment, and then it's over. So
Yeah.
I later learned that one of the other runners, a woman who had been on that same section, saw a coyote right there. Whether it was the same coyote, who knows?
Hmm.
Someone sent me a picture afterward, of later, the next night of the race, and the very parking lot where the turnaround was, there's an animal in the background, a big animal. And so they're out there. This coyote, the one thing that did strike me about this coyote is it was fairly healthy. It wasn't that mangy looking like some of the others. It looked like, the fur was kind of healthy looking.
Uh-huh. Um, well, because people keep getting the damn coyotes out there, Dean. So I guess we would kind of expect that, not to make light of it, but I'm not going to make light of it. Come on, look who we're talking to. So I want to jump into the kind of the aftermath of that. So because it has been an unexpected aftermath, in my opinion. I can't imagine what it'd be like for you. That the Canadian Running Magazine, their headline is "Speculation Grows Around Dean Karnazes' Coyote Attack." There's some other ones like the Chronicle, sfgate.com, Dean Karnazes' coyote attack questioned by animal experts. And there are a few others like that too. And I haven't spent a second looking at any comments on social because I try and steer clear of that sort of thing, but I can't imagine that was any better.
Yeah, well, I mean, these media sources, if they actually talked to me, that would have been helpful. But
Yeah.
they're quoting experts that I don't know if these experts have ever been on a trail, let alone, they didn't ask me where did it take place. They didn't ask what time of day it was. There's a lot of variables that went into this, and they said, it's highly unlikely. No shit. I mean, I've been using the same, like I say, over and over. I've been on the same trail for 30 years, and yeah, it's never happened in 30 years. It is pretty unlikely, but it happened. And I think, it's going to continue happening, if people keep feeding the coyotes. But the backlash has been insane. And no one, there's only two people that will ever know the truth, is me and the coyote, because it took place at 3 a.m, and there was no one else around.
Yeah. I can't imagine what it'd be like to share something like that, as important as it is. And, no one's holding a gun to your head saying that you've got to, share this. And there is a public safety element to it that I think that we should all be paying attention to. But for someone who is as genuine and authentic as you are, Dean, as I know you, that, it's gotta be pretty hurtful to be seeing and reading these sorts of things about you when you were just explaining what had happened.
Yeah, I mean, and there's really no, I mean, there's no defending myself. I can't, no matter what I say, I think people want to demonize other people, certain people, and no one's really taken the time, except for you now, to listen to the story. So, uh, I don't, people say don't respond. It hurts me. Of course, it hurts me.
Yeah.
I'm human, and I felt a certain responsibility to tell the race director. I mean, if you have an encounter, I mean, people are saying, well, you weren't really attacked because it wasn't going for you. I agree. I wasn't really attacked in the sense that the thing wasn't trying to eat Dean. It was trying to get my bar, and I was in the way. But I think if you have an encounter with an animal like that, you have some responsibility to tell the race director about it and inform the other runners. And that's what I did. Maybe I shouldn't, I think I would feel worse if I just kept it to myself.
Yeah, and one could argue that you were attacked for your food, because that is essentially what had happened. That's the so we got the trail safety part about this, and something that I've been doing some research on coyote attacks, because it is rare. Yes, it is absolutely rare. I mean, how many times have we all seen a coyote on a trail run over the years? We do see them. Sometimes we actually run upon one. I ran upon one. We came head to head on a trail, and we both freaked each other out. And there is, for the most part, a skittish animal. They stay away from human beings. But lies the rub with the problem with people feeding coyotes or any wild animal. If you look in Mammoth Lakes, for instance, they have a really good like campaign going there. You go any store there, you're going to see stickers. They're black and they say, "Don't feed mammoth bears." Why? Because they'll get more familiar with human beings. They'll come into areas where people are, and they pose a problem and a threat. And when that happens, then they euthanize these animals. And that's why we cannot feed them, whether it's a bear or a coyote or a deer. We just shouldn't do it, especially animals that are more predatory and are apex animals, right? And I would consider a coyote to be more of an apex predator. But I'm not like a zoologist here. So, I'm just doing my level best in front of a podcast microphone. But I can share that, I'm doing some research, and like back in August of 2021, so just a year ago, authorities had set up a camera and found a woman was feeding coyotes raw meat and are asking the public help to find this individual who's feeding coyotes raw meat. Oh my gosh, please find another hobby. Any hobby would be better than that. And it's like, why would you throw chum out into into the ocean where people are going to swim? You wouldn't do that. That is essentially what you're doing in effect. But I came to learn there's $1,000 fine for feeding a wild animal in California. Up in Canada, in Vancouver, they've got a real big problem in Stanley Park. At the time, I think this happened back in, I think it was last year, within the last 2 years, that they've had 15 coyote attacks, a lot of joggers, and doing what joggers are reporting is that they are coyotes are coming after joggers and nipping at their legs, because that's what they do when they attack an animal. They try and take it down so that they can go for and the jugular or whatever to take out commission so they can eat it. So that happens. That they start coming into neighborhoods, and toddlers they've been approaching toddlers up there, and that does happen. A Canadian folk singer, she was attacked and mauled to death by coyotes. So to have experts come forward and say, well, this doesn't happen, doesn't do anyone a bit of good, because that's not true.
Yeah, well, I mean, in reflecting back, in fact, in my conversation with the ranger, she said, "Did you notice if it was tagged?" And I said, "No, I didn't notice." And what is this tagging? And she's like, "Well, there's problem coyotes all over out here, and we're tagging them to try to keep track of it." So,
wow, well, there you go. No, I'm sorry, I didn't chase after the coyote to see if it had tags.
I didn't notice the tag. Yeah.
And in all fairness to these experts, they said that attacks are rare. Yes, they are rare. This is a rare situation, as you just said, that they can happen, and they do. So I think it's just super unfortunate that we're not taking this as an opportunity to really truly learn from it, which is what we should be doing. To, as you said, tell people not to feed these animals and why you should pick up your food and litter on the trail, so that they don't get used to another food source that doesn't fit their habitat, etc. I mean, use common sense.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. And coyotes attacking people, and there was an article that I saw in Runner's World about this whole thing, and they quoted attacks happening in Texas on people. And I still, I mean, I'm not a coyote psychologist, but I still think this thing was ultimately going for my food,
Yeah.
and not trying to nip at me. But I.
Will this change your running behavior at all? Or were you just kind of like, this was just a freak of nature and just kind of go status quo?
Well, no, I mean, I won't run down a trail by myself at 3 a.m. eating a bar in an area where there's known coyote issues. So other than that, it's not going to change. I mean, honestly, what scares me a lot worse than coyotes is mountain lions. So that to me is a bigger threat. And they say you don't see mountain lions, but to me that's a more dangerous predator, and they do attack humans. I mean, there was a video that I remember seeing of a trail runner, I think he was in Colorado, where a mountain lion was like literally pursuing him. And if you've run Western states, I don't, maybe a lot of people don't know, but there's a commemorative bench at about mile 85 for a woman who was actually training for the Western states, who was attacked by a mountain lion and killed and eaten. So to me, a mountain lion is much more of a threat than a coyote.
Yeah, I run by that all the time, and it's just very somber and a
Yeah.
really great reminder of that we have to have situational awareness when it comes to these things and be prepared in the best way possible. And usually it's running with friends. I know that people like running solos. Running solo is great. I love doing it. But there are some places where I know to go with a friend and kind of keep it there. So I guess what do you have an overall message for folks kind of moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, just be more mindful. I mean, to your point, if you're in an area where you're worried about mountain lions, run with a partner. I'm still going to run solo. I'm just going to be a little more mindful of areas that I'm in, and eating food primarily. And now that you're mentioning coyotes actually going after people more and more, maybe I'll pay more attention when I see a coyote on a trail near me, because I've had the same thing you've had, where I've just kind of seen a coyote going down the trail and turns around and looks at me and darts off. So I'll just be a little more mindful, but I'm not going to stop doing what I love, and I'm not going to stop encouraging people to get out on the trails.
Yeah, it's such animals are just such curious things. And there are stories about of freak things happening. I had one person email me about they had been attacked by the same damn owl twice on a trail. And like I think one time the owl stole its hat. Um, I mean, freaky things can happen, but I can't let you go without asking you about something you wrote about in that post on Instagram with the video about that you'd been attacked by a shark once. Is that true?
Yes. I used to be a very avid spear fisherman. So I was spearfishing in the off the Florida Keys, and yeah, I shot a fish, and a couple of sharks started getting aggressive, and one in particular uh, came at me and grabbed you've got a fish on a spear, so it took the fish and swam away. But it's the same thing. It was absolutely terrifying. It happened quickly, not quite as quickly as the coyote thing, but your heart is pumping, your adrenaline's going, and but you spear a fish where there's sharks, it could happen.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're okay. I'm glad that it didn't bite you because you don't. I mean, shit. I mean, who knows what a wild animal like that could be carrying? And it could have been way more serious. Of course. And I'm glad that it wasn't. And I have to ask. The burning question is, what kind of energy bar was it?
I think you'd have to ask the race director, because it was a trail, like I think it was like a maple nut. It was at a food cache in a stop called Tennessee Valley, which is kind of by where it happened. And I opened the bin, and he had a whole box of energy bars in there. and I just grabbed a pocket full of them, and it could have been a Cliff Bar, but I'm not sure what kind of energy bar it was.
Yeah, you could have said, "Hey, Coyote, listen, there's a whole cache of energy bars way over there. I know you don't have opposable thumbs, but your teeth can get right through that packaging, no problem. I promise. There's way more. This is mine. Hey, I'm running 150 miles over here, Coyote. You're gonna ruin my day. Don't do that." I think that's probably like one of the worst parts about it, is that you trained for a 150-mile run and you didn't get to finish it. You know?
That was tough, and I think I might just go back and just do it solo, just because this whole thing has become such a circus. That's not how I want to remember it. So
No, and you're not one to quit either. I mean, that was significant enough where you said, I can't do this. I gotta stop.
yeah, and like I said, it was the reaction of other people that I was running by that was kind of another impulse to stop. I mean, I was covered in blood, and it just wasn't a very good look. And more people are starting to use the trails.
Yeah, that would freak me out if I saw someone 3 o'clock in the morning with a bloody face coming coming out of the dark, like, what just happened? What should I know? Yeah, that last section's crazy. You just want to just watch out.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
Now I'm like I'm remembering all these other encounters I had. I mean, I remember encountering a bear at Western States as I was going down toward the river, toward Rekichaki, so that maybe mile 73 or so, and I saw this flash of brown and this dust cloud, and I thought it was like a horse had gone lame in the trail, and then a bear came out, and when it saw me, it just bolted down the embankment, and it left what looked like a tractor had gone through it. I mean, it crashed through the thickets, and of course I picked up the pace.
Oh man,
I think bear spottings at Western States are not that uncommon. I think even Jim Walmsley one time came across some bears when he was obviously winning the race, as he always does. But I think he even got delayed during a race because of some bears out there.
I was running this up in near Shingle Springs, California, this 20-mile race, and it was on trail, and I was by myself, middle of the day, and I hear from behind a large thatch of bushes. I'll make the noise. Okay, I hear this. That noise, and I almost wet myself and thought, and I was petrified. I thought, oh, there is a wild beast behind these bushes. And so I turned around and just slowly walked and then jogged down to meet someone and then pair up and then continue forward. But I was not feeling safe in that moment because I knew I was at risk of something. So anyways, just a heads up.
I think probably when this goes live, you'll get a lot of comments from people. I mean, people saying, no, it never happened. And other people saying, yeah, I had something similar happen. So it'll be interesting to see the outcome of this very interview.
Yeah, and I'm really wanting to do an episode about wild animal attacks, just so we can talk about how we can keep ourselves safe in all sorts of situations. When it's a rattlesnake bite, a moose attack, those do happen. Bear, mountain lion, as we already mentioned, just so we can stay safe out there and watch out for one another, because that's what it's all about. And that's why, in the spirit of the ultra running community, I wanted to have you on here to talk about it, because ultimately it's about keeping people safe, and you have a story to share, and it's also about keeping animals safe too. It's their world, it's their environment, and we got to protect them. So we all have a part to play in here.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, it's kind of ludicrous that people are commenting on this supposed situation that may or may not have happened when they don't even know anything about it. So,
yeah.
I mean, if you're across the country somewhere and you've never been to the Marin Headlands, how would you even know the setting? But it has become crazy for me. And, that some guy claiming I wasn't even out there running, that the whole thing was done like in a Hollywood studio. So it's,
yes, yeah, it was one big elaborate plan in a Hollywood studio.
So I'm glad we're having an honest conversation.
Dean, thank you so much for coming on here. Stay safe out there, and I'd love to have you back on here again when the next animal attack happens.
Believe me, it's not going to happen on me, because
no,
on my watch, I'm never going to let anything like this happen to me again.
Oh man, stay safe out there, and thanks again for taking the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be well.
You too. Amy Clark, welcome back to the show. How the heck have you been?
I'm good, Scotty. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing really great. I'm coming off a pretty spectacular weekend, but
Great.
yeah, but not as cool as yours. And mine was pretty damn cool. So I
Hey.
heard you're at Waldo this weekend.
Yes, I was. I was sweeping the course with Pam Smith, who's an awesome ultra runner, rock star. Really enjoyed it. Just spent, 8 hours of picking up flags and picking up signs, and still got to run on the course. So it was great.
How's Pam doing?
She's great. She is kind of coming off of Badwater, but man, that woman has no lack of energy. She's getting right back at it. So yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah, I remember interviewing her a few months ago, just being totally impressed and with her. Now she was going through the course with you, is that right? Or was she like walking?
Her and I were sweeping together.
Sweeping?
So
Okay.
so she was dragging me along because I was it was great. It was a fun time, but yeah, she's quick on the move to try and catch up to those last runners. So
did you have to pull anybody?
No, there was a couple runners that DNF'd in front of us before mile 20, and then we ran into another runner probably about 7 miles from the aid station that had the first cutoff. So yeah, it wasn't that bad. It was a great day out there. It was beautiful. Not a lot of smoke until the afternoon. There was a fire nearby, so but
that's always a bummer.
It was, but you know what? It didn't really affect the course too much, so that was a good thing. A good thing that they didn't have to cancel the race. That was the best. So.
Good. Yeah, I ran a race a few years ago where we had, up Tahoe had terrible smoke, and you could it was like it was snowing ash. And I'm like, well, other people are running it. I guess I can run it too. I guess it's safe.
No,
it was so bad. So I made the decision to run, and the race director's like, it is on you if you decide to run, which I accepted that. And so, but it was like, so I started running, and I don't typically run at elevation. And so I thought, man, it's hard to breathe. It's like I'm trying to suck in oxygen through like a really tight hose. And I thought, well, maybe it's elevation. And then my lungs were jacked. But did I have a great day? Absolutely. No regrets on that one. Seriously, it was totally worth the inhaler. I was
going to say, the runner in front of us had an inhaler. She was having a hard time. And then I think there was a few other runners real sensitive to the smoke that pulled out their inhalers, because that smoke is not good stuff for the lungs.
Yeah, so. We should probably do an ultra shorts episode on smoke, since it's just been just a constant, especially here in the north, in the west.
Yeah, I agree. It's something that we're just going to have to deal with, and some summers are worse than others, but it's not going away. So
not anytime soon, unfortunately. So we have a new issue out this month, and I always say this, I'm like, it just keeps getting better and better. I sound like a broken record, or I'm just, wait, I had the same one.
Really?
I do. Isn't that crazy? But it just does. And I'm just so impressed with you guys. So please give us a rundown on what's going on.
Awesome. Well, thank you for those kind words. So this is our Western States coverage issue, but you'll find a lot more in here. So not only does it cover Western States, but it also covers mountain safety, which, in the summers, people like to get up in the mountains since the snow's gone, and they like to go out and run. And this issue itself is packed full of kind of tips and advice on how to get out there, but how to get out there safely. I've got, there's a few in particular, like few articles in particular, like Buzz Burrell writes kind of a tongue-in-cheek article about it, but yet he's got some really good advice about how to get out there safely and what to bring. There are Claire Gallagher wrote an article about Luke Nelson, who just started a wilderness safety course specifically for trail runners.
Luke Nelson, the country singer?
No. No, I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with Luke Nelson, the country singer.
Really? Willie Nelson's son?
Hold on, just a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Luke Nelson, right? Willie Nelson's son.
Oh yeah, he's in Bend today. Yeah, he's coming to Bend today. Sorry, it's Lucas. I call him Lucas. Sorry.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, Luke Nelson. He started. I think it's in Colorado, but he started a new wilderness training course series of courses.
Oh, I would love to
she
take
wrote.
that.
Yeah. There's a variety of them out there. Liza Howard, she's also, I think, a instructor. But yeah, there's a definite need for him out there. Which first aid, other ways to kind of stay safe out in the mountains.
Yeah. Oh, it was last year that we had just, it seemed like every other week someone was dying or getting lost out in the wilderness. And,
Right.
that's will always happen, but it just seemed to be like just so much like what changed. And,
Yeah. Well, and Luke's kind of reasoning for, as he says in the article, for starting this whole series of courses is because he was seeing so much happen out there. So, good reason for sure.
And not to be outdone, but the piece on all the for all the gear nuts out there, them one included, all the gear you have reviewed in there is so good. There's so much.
Yeah. It's a good definite variety and kind of baseline. Here's what you're going to need when you go fast packing out in the woods for a few days. So
yeah, definitely take a look before you go to REI.
Yeah.
And really, seriously, it just covers everything from spot devices, sleeping bags, tents, shelters, and all sorts of stuff. So good. So it's really great that you guys went from like ultra gear to like, backcountry stuff.
Yeah.
So which I'm totally down for. I'm so excited.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, if you summer's the time to spend a few days out in the woods if you're going to do it during the year. So you might as well gear up and make sure you have what you need to get out there safely.
Do you have a spot device?
No, I don't. No.
Wow.
I haven't really ventured out far enough on my own to need one. I'm sure that'll happen someday, but
I need a spot device to find my car at the shopping malls.
I feel you on that. And then Anton Krupicka wrote a really great article about his experience with scrambling and how to do it safely as well.
That stuff is so hardcore. Yeah. And he also includes an image of the Flatirons in Boulder, which is like, so many people like meet their demise trying to attempt, like they think, oh, it's so pretty, it's big, it's huge, and everyone does it. So I guess it's totally safe to go do it, but it's not. That thing's at like a 45-degree angle. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, it's funny because he says so many people hit him up for advice on what to wear and what kind of shoes to wear and if I should, clip in and you're just like, what? And so I can only imagine the number of questions he gets. So this kind of addresses this article.
That was really smart on his part to do that because he is like, there's one guy you want to pick his brain about. He is the guy to ask about that.
Who climbs. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So, the issue is just chock full of this kind of stuff. So it's a really great one.
It really is. And the race reviews are great. And again, the photos are just mad and awesome.
Well, this was the issue of like the return of the hundreds. So we've got Bighorn and San Diego 100, which had been canceled for the last couple years.
Yeah.
And Kettle Moraine. So yeah, it was really, really awesome coverage of some really good hundreds out there.
Yeah. The pics from Bighorn were just drool. I was like, can I sign up for that?
I know. Isn't it beautiful?
It is gorgeous. Yeah. I've been wanting to go to Wyoming and sometime within the next year. So maybe there is a just 32 miler that they got. I'll do that.
Yeah. Heck yeah. You should. I've always wanted to go too.
Awesome. So what else is going on with you? It's been a hot minute since we chatted.
I am just kind of in the midst of summer, wrapping up last few weeks before school starts for the kids, training for javelina, all that fun stuff.
Nice. So, do you have your crew and stuff already?
Getting there.
You getting there? All right. Let me know if you need help. Seriously.
Thank you. No, I'm not really dialing in any details, just kind of spreading the word a little bit and seeing who's going to be out there. There's a lot of runners I've met that are going down. So yeah, just enjoying the,
Okay.
the training process.
Just gonna wing it and just
Not winging it. No, I've got a race beforehand, but just trying to get in the training at this point. Wow. Somewhat of a organized fashion.
Is this your first go at Javelina?
Yeah, it is.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Corey is putting out some awesome stuff right now in terms of races. If you don't sign up for his newsletter, you should.
Yeah.
It's just so like every other week, it's like, oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Why don't I live in Arizona so I can run these things? Oh, I know why. It's so freaking hot. It's terrible. God bless everyone who lives in Arizona.
Yeah. How about you,
can
Scotty?
do it.
What's been happening?
Nothing. I am still just
Nothing.
trying to do my own little thing. So yeah, it's okay. I'm finding my path. It's just been such a bonkers 2 months. It's sent states. My honey, she donated her kidney to her brother. So we were down in Arizona for a couple weeks and everyone's doing great. So we've had that school starting for teenagers and just everything in the world. It's been a lot. But we are having fun. We went and saw Nathaniel Hawthorne last Saturday at the Greek in Berkeley.
Awesome.
Bahamas. It was an amazing show.
So cool.
Yeah. If you get the chance to go see that guy, he puts on a performance.
Yeah, definitely. No, he's good. Oh, wait. Nathaniel Rateliff, is that right?
Oh, did I say Hawthorne?
Yeah. I was like
Nathaniel Hawthorne. Is he an author?
I don't know. Names are just coming at me and I'm like, wait, what?
Googling Nathaniel.
No, he's
Hawthorne.
good. I saw him in Ben not that long ago and I was like, this guy is incredible. He is amazing.
Mm-hmm. And he doesn't look like the kind of guy who would just kind of produce that kind of show. But
not at all.
He's amazing.
Yeah, totally. I'm going to a show next week with my kids in Portland. So looking forward to one last show for the season.
Oh, nice. Who are you gonna go see?
We're gonna go see, well, they got into Fits and the Tantrums, and so we're gonna go see them with Andy Grammer on Tuesday. No, nice. Wednesday. Tuesday.
Isn't the drummer, he's the ultra runner?
Yeah, we interviewed him. I interviewed him a couple of years ago, and John Wicks. So yeah,
that's so cool. That is so cool. All right, my friend. Well, thank you for taking the time and getting this whole thing together. We love it. You're amazing.
Yeah, you are amazing too, Scotty. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you next month.
All right, sounds good.
You got it. And scene.